Hey everybody, I'm Pat Monahan, and you're listening to the Patcast. It's very exciting that I get to announce that today is the day that Train's new single is being released. By the time you hear this, we will already be at Howard Stern's studio during our first ever live performance of a song called Angel in Blue Jeans. We have a whole week of radio station visits and press interviews planned in New York, the New York area. So maybe we'll get to see some of you guys at a few of those events. And if not, watch us on the Today Show on Friday morning. If you don't get to see that either, we have a whole summer of shows and events planned. So make sure to check out SaveMeSanFrancisco.com to find out when we'll be in a city close to you or even far, because driving to a Train concert is awesome. A couple weeks ago, we aired a conversation with Andrew McMahon, the singer of Jack's Mannequin and Something Corporate. At a critical point in Andrew's music career, he suddenly found himself fighting for his life. This week, we bring you a story that is eerily similar from the other side of the world. Delta Goodrem is one of Australia's biggest stars. She actually sang Bruises. She was my duet partner on the Australian version of Bruises. Delta is one of Australia's biggest stars, and like Andrew, at a very young age, she was faced with a life-threatening battle with leukemia. She was strong enough and lucky enough to make it through that fight, and now she's an inspiration to many people around the world, not just musically, but when it comes to this fight that she won. I met her in a songwriting session, and she told me how much the Train song, Calling All Angels, meant to her, particularly during her illness, and we've been friends ever since. And while she found inspiration in her Train song, millions of fans found inspiration in Delta herself. Her battle with cancer happened very much in the public eye, and her grace and composure throughout the ordeal only earned her more respect and love from her already devoted fans who had basically grown up with her. Delta wasted no time getting started on her career. She had been singing all her life and was already signed to a record deal by the time she was 15 years old. She released several singles to moderate success and then landed a role on Australia's biggest soap opera called Neighbours when she was 17 years old. That was in 2002. In 2003, she released her debut album, which was an enormous success in both the UK and Australia, achieving double platinum sales in the latter. She racked up awards both for her acting and her music, but it was all overshadowed by her illness. Delta was diagnosed with cancer the same year that that record came out. Though she had to stop working to focus on her health, Delta did appear publicly and grant several interviews about what was happening in her life, and her fans responded with a great deal of love and support. After fighting back to being healthy and completely recovering from her illness, Delta got her career back on track and has had huge success all over the world as a songwriter and performer. She also has taken on a new TV role in Australia as a judge on the Aussie version of The Voice and The Voice Kids. She remains a household name in her home country, even though she has been living in Los Angeles for some time now. And that's where we did this podcast. She has a beautiful home in Beverly Hills, and you can hear the high ceilings in her piano room when we do this podcast. And I hadn't seen Delta for about a year, and she happened to be in Australia last time we toured there, and she came out and sang Bruises with us at the Sydney Opera House. She's working on a new album, writing a lot, and it seems like she's really enjoying her life. She's a great friend, a great singer, and if you're listening in Australia or the UK, you already know her well. If you're here in the US, then maybe you're hearing her for the first time. Either way, it's a privilege to bring you Delta Goodrem, who I think Jerry is secretly in love with, right here on this week's Patcast.
What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking. What do you do? What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking at you. You got to get it while the getting is good. Laugh when you can, cry when you should. You got to give it till the giving is gone. Do what you can, then you move on. What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking. What do you do? What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking at you.
I'm not sure how many years ago it was. I think You might have been 19 years old when I met you. I met you through
Yes.
Donnie Einer of Columbia Records.
Yes, that's right.
He actually introduced me to a couple of really cool people, and you, of course, were the absolute coolest. I'm here with Australian. You're everything. You're a singer, a movie star, a TV star, and your name happens to be Delta Goodrem.
It is, that's right.
So
Thanks,
welcome
Pat.
to the Patcast.
Thanks for having me. I mean, just like to chime in on when I met you, like I was, it was a really crazy time, and I was so excited to meet you because the song specifically at that time, Calling All Angels, was like a big deal in my life. So it was a
that's
really
cool.
nice connection then.
Yeah, I want to jump into like some of the most intense parts of your life right away. But first, I just want to tell you how the day started.
Tell me.
We went and went to Starbucks, and usually like Pergo will say, "Hey man, I have these really interesting questions that you have to ask. I find them to be interesting." And
to the
Pergo's
Starbucks people? Or just the
no
other?
to whoever we're going to podcast.
All right, okay.
And this is Pergo's like really it's Pergo's podcast, and I just happen to be the host. And so he writes up these great questions, and
Yep.
Today his questions were fine, but Jerry's questions were amazing.
Chimed in, Jerry.
And let me read you Jerry's
What
questions.
a great way to start this.
Jerry's, well, I
Really
think
great.
that you'll find Jerry's questions as interesting
jeez.
as I did. Here's how
Fantastic.
they go.
I'm sweating from the
I
coffee.
like it to be like a family event. Everybody chime in, throw
Right,
in
so
whatever.
here, let me start.
We're at my house.
Jerry's questions. How does she feel about dating shorter men?
What's so funny?
Yeah.
All about the spirit.
How does she feel about dating married men?
Not my bag.
How about shorter married men? How does she feel about dating men that are shorter, married, and they have kids? Those are pretty
Wow.
great questions.
You guys came up with that at Starbucks?
So anyway, I'd like to know the answer to all those, and then we can move on into the
Well,
Pergo
only if
questions.
we're talking about Jerry right now.
Then you're in.
Otherwise, no.
Oh, great. Oh, man, Jerry.
This is a great interview.
The most intense thing I think that anyone can ever go through is what you have been through in your life. I find like there's so much to talk about with you, but the fact that you have overcome leukemia is, I think, has to play some role in every bit of you at this point. But am I wrong?
No, you're not. No, absolutely. I mean, like, I'm always, first of all, I'm always thankful that, health is your number one, and it's your number one priority of everything, and people are going through it every single day. So all I can kind of ask is that I stand as hope for the people still in the battle. So that's always an important thing. Yes, because I went through it. I had my own journey. Everybody goes, has their own story, and that was a big part of mine, and it does stay with me, and I've been there, done that. Don't want to do it again. But there's so many layers to going through cancer that it's very hard to even pick one to start.
Right. Well, when we tried to write a hit song together that was not a hit song at all.
I was very sick that day.
I was definitely not at my best, but we worked with my friend Bart Hendrickson, who's also a great musician and writer, and he also, years ago, he beat leukemia. Wow. And I found it interesting to listen to you guys talk because he was calling it a gift. And I don't think you were ready to call it a gift at that point. Not yet.
No.
Because it was pretty, you were coming out of it.
Yeah, and that's like a really around that time that we wrote together when I first met you, it was very hard. That was a very, very hard time because it's like a big bomb goes off and you're still putting all the pieces back together and you're half of what you were. You're not the same person anymore, and you can't be the same person. You have to grow and go through the pain and then grow and then resonate higher and look back and reflect and take with it what you will. And I think that now I can definitely look back and say that I do think of it as a gift. But
it's a crazy weird gift, but I mean, gift not in the difficulty of it, but like what comes with it.
Absolutely.
Like, you get to find out what you're really made of. You get to find out what people around you are made of. You meet people that you would not have met before. And I know that, you do a lot of philanthropic work with a lot of young kids.
Totally. And I just recently, we opened up the King Hong Cancer Centre, and that was a big project I was a part of. And I got my little wing area, so it's the educational part of the hospital, and I'll have that forever. It's really
Can you
really
change
special.
the wing area to my name? I mean, it would be the right thing.
Look,
You
I
could call
worked
it the Patcast
really hard
wing.
with that, okay? we can put some nice if you want
Just
to come
some
and
pictures of
donate
me.
and help out. And
Pictures of me and Jerry.
You could call it the chicken wing.
What is that?
I don't know.
It's a terrible joke. But with all of that stuff, you also, this was happening at the end of your first record, which was
yes.
massive in Australia and all, like many other parts of the world, right?
It was. I mean, the story is insane because I had just broken through. I'd had my third number one single. I'd been number one for months.
And you were like 18?
18, yeah.
I mean, you were breaking records for
Yeah.
selling records, right?
Yeah, it's broken like the longest running. It's like 7 months at number one. It was 29 weeks at number one and had 5 number one singles. It did awesome, crazy. It was just one of those moments where the planets align and it was really special. And they come around once or twice if you like, if you're very lucky, and it was it was, but at the same time, life it balanced it out. And I was, things like I was coming over here, like that week I was meant to fly over to the US and start releasing all those things that stop and start. And I just had to concentrate on getting better. And I'm here now, and I'm super stoked to be in a great place in life. And that spot will always, be a really, I hold it in a particular place in my heart. And definitely all the people that were so supportive, and I make sure that I give back to what I learned and what I discovered from that.
Yeah, that's cool. I also noticed that you spent a lot of time here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because you love it here or because it's a hassle in Australia for you. Like,
No.
What do you find?
No,
I know that like Robbie Williams has a place in Los Angeles, and he's so massive around the world, but he can come here and kind of chill. Is this a place for you to be creative?
I'd say. I mean, I really do feel like I'm the same person whether I'm there or here. All it means is that I probably get through a meal quicker here, or it's just kind of
Right.
It's not really. I don't feel any different. They're very different worlds. They are incredibly different in the, like, I get on the plane there. It's a very different world for me, and it's a very different world here. But both equally are worlds I've created for myself and built around me, and I love them. I'm really thankful for Oz. I'm not one of those people that kind of, I know what I signed up for. I try to keep the balance and keep a fine line of what I'm comfortable with, and making sure that my creativity and what I create is the most important thing, and with my family and friends, and making sure that the creative side of me, the artist, gets to do what I get to do, and have that space and clarity.
Yeah.
But I accept. I was so young when I broke in Australia. Like, I'm 29 now, but
Oh my God, you're so old. That's crazy.
I
What's
mean,
it like
this year
being
I
that
will be
old?
signed half my life and signed not half my 15
Right.
years, and then 15 years old. I've been signed for 15 years with labels, so I know
But
no
see,
other life.
But your whole entertainment world started way earlier than that.
Right, yes,
you
it
were
did.
you were like a child star, but
I was very young.
you don't have the problems that child stars have.
Called good parents.
Is it?
Yeah, I'd say.
I wonder.
I mean,
I wondered.
But I'm also not. I'm also. I put it down to my mum and dad. Like, I feel like, I've still got a lot more goals I want to do, and I've got a lot more I want to achieve, and yeah, I've broken a lot of records at home, and I'm really thankful for it. But I've still got my own kind of. I want to get better myself at all times, and I've got lots of dreams and things. So I kind of don't.
How did you
Again,
become
like,
musical? Are your parents musical?
No, not remotely. Although my dad likes to tell people he's singing backing for lots of the albums.
he's one of the worst?
Terrible.
Yeah. Where did you get the ability to do it? Because
brother
you're
likes to be
very,
mysterious.
very good at it.
Thank you. It's weird because even my dad bought my mum a piano as the gift of when I was born for going through, because I was 3 months preemie, very dramatic car crash. I was born from a car crash, and
What?
my mum was pregnant with me. a car ran into her, pushed her onto ongoing
Oh
traffic.
my God.
So
And then it
very
was like,
dramatic
you
from day
gotta
one.
go now,
I was
lady.
like, we got to go.
Wow.
And but my dad bought my mum a big piano for going through the whole ordeal. And because mum said, oh, maybe one day I'd learn. And I picked it up. And it was literally me. And no one's musical in our household at all. My brother's a footballer. I mean, why not?
I love the story that your mom got in a car wreck and your dad was like, I'm going to buy you a piano. What a crazy, like,
And
it makes a lot of
named
sense.
after a song, and my parents again are not musical, so
Right.
I was
Yeah, it's
named
a
after
Joe Cocker song, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What is it called? Delta?
Oh, you're mine, yes, you're mine, Delta lady, been around the country. Yeah.
Do you play that live?
No, I haven't. Hoping one day someone sweeps me off my feet and sings it for me. You know.
Man, that's a...
Jerry.
Jerry's a terrible singer, so that day's never going to come. That's too bad.
Yeah.
Man, that would have been your moment, dude. She could have moved in with
So
you and the
embarrassed.
kids.
I
and
love this
Emily.
house. I love this house.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I've never sung it.
Yeah, it's
because it'd be
cool.
a bit weird singing my own name. I mean, I know it's a thing in the rapping,
Yeah, right, I
but it'd be a bit
suppose.
weird. Like,
Here, let me tell you, though,
Delta
if there
lady.
was a song about Pat, I would sing the shit out of it. I would
Would
sing
you
it a
go
lot
for
to
it?
everybody. But so why Los Angeles when you could live, you could be anywhere in the world that you wanted, and I've been to Australia and I've been to all the parts of the United States. Have you been to a lot of the United States that you chose LA?
I mean, I've had chapters in other countries. Like I had a chapter for a while. I lived in London, had my house there, and
Oh, cool.
And I had two different chapters in New York, and I found that whilst I was having these crazy times in Australia, I did get to independently kind of be a woman of the world and go and find myself in my own sort of discovery way, and then go back and do my job and act older than I was. And then
Do you still have a place in London?
I sold it. No.
And are you still in search of where you want to be and what you want to be?
No. I found it here. And,
So you like LA, you like
I love LA.
Sydney.
And I love Sydney. Yeah, I mean, I love
Those are
Australia.
your two spots.
The whole place.
So do you spend half the year in both places?
I do. Yeah, pretty much.
And-
But doing The Voice, we definitely it made me spend a lot more, kind of half and half.
So let's talk about The Voice. When they put the panel together in Australia, were you gung-ho, let's go, this is something I want to do, or were you a little reluctant?
Well, the very first time I got a phone call from a friend in Holland who had said this show was coming out from there, and you should you really should be a part of it. I've said you should be a part of it. And I'm like, it's probably not my thing. It's just not my thing. I'm not going to be a judge. And they're like, no, it's coaches. And I was like, yeah, it's probably not my thing. And then I got, I kept getting called from them, and I was like, okay, fine. And I really reluctantly took a meeting. I was like, it's just, I'm an artist, I like to create. I want to help people, but it's, and then when I kind of really got explained, because this was a new format, it hadn't really broken yet. And when they said you're a coach, like of a football team type thing, because I'm a real sports girl. So when I understood I'd be coaching and I'm kind of in a season against my coaches and we're battling it out and you get to mentor and really choose the songs for them and be their own record label, really. Essentially, you're their A&R people. And I got more and more I understood what an amazing show it was. The more I was like, okay,
Do you ever want to be mean to these people and you're not mean and you really should be mean?
Well,
Because
the
I'd like
first
you to
year,
be.
Pat, because the first year I definitely struggled with telling exactly what I was thinking in the chair, because you've got this artist chip that's like, I'm not going to, I'll talk to you when the cameras are off and I'll say, hey, dude, maybe you could have done a bit more on the stage, or you could have, found a better place to go from, but I'm not going to do it on camera. So I felt very, very hard because I've been taught to guard myself. And so when it came to I found that the more truthful I was and just, I had a mantra that was like, be truthful, gentle, and fearless. And that was kind of what I went into by heading into the second scene. I was like, nah, I'm sorry, I'm telling you what I think, and that's what I think, but I love you, but let's talk about it afterwards. And it really kind of got me to
The Voice, when they...
I didn't care selling the truth in the end. I don't care.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like, it's good or bad, I'm telling you what it was. That's what I think. Subjective.
When The Voice came to me, I didn't have to tell them that I was not right for it, because they said to me, you're not right for it.
Oh, right.
So
I think you'd be right
We're
for it.
not interested in you.
It was a
And
test.
here's why. Because here would be me. Okay, Jerry, go ahead. You come out and you start to play. Next, I'm done with that guy. He sucks. Move on.
That's you?
I
You
mean,
big bad
that's
guy.
probably why I'm not the right guy. When I watch the show, I feel bad that, like, I wonder what's going to happen next to these kids that are coming out, because has anyone broken in Australia yet from The Voice?
You know what I'd say to that is that I feel that in music in general, it's all about moments, and you have great moments, and a big wave comes and you surf it, and then you kind of go out to sea. And if you're smart enough, you can go back and keep riding and come back,
Right.
and if you have the talent and we give them a lot of information very quickly. It's like going to an excessive school, where and being like, I know with my fellow coaches, like with Joel and Ricky Martin, when we had Keith Urban, when we had Seal, they're all very generous spirits, and we all give a lot. We're like, this is what we've learned. Listen, absorb it, take it all in right now. Like, this is what we've learned. This is where I made mistakes. This is where I got it right. And so I think that type of schooling, and with everybody, and they get these moments. I always say to them, just enjoy this moment. It's a great moment. Then you got to create your next moment. It's up to you, and they get that opportunity to move on. We're always a phone call away. Like, I know my coaches are the same. We do speak to our artists if they need us, and there's that direct relationship, and
You think every judge is like that?
I mean, I don't know what everybody's like, but I know in our show they are. I know that Seal, I know that Ricky, even when Keith did the first year, Joel, they're all, I know that we seem to be really lucky that with the Australian version, I know we all check in, we all, I have no idea what it's like in the States or the
That's
UK
really
or
cool that
anywhere
you
else,
guys do
but
that.
We do. And so, sure, there hasn't been, yes, they haven't broken as much as what maybe kind of some people would like, but at the same time, that's, at the end of the day, that's not to do with the show. That's really up to the artist. And
Is it?
That I believe so. I believe that's up to the artist to have instincts on what the right song would be for them, to know when to fight for themselves, to,
Right.
So I mean, I think you get the platform. It's what you do with it.
I always wonder about that. Like, what is the goal?
Have a career?
And can some of these kids get a career from being on TV for a little while? Are they better off at the end of the day than they were when they showed up? And it seems like I know a few people that were on The Voice here, and they seem to be way better position.
Absolutely.
To possibly succeed now. Before they were on TV, they really were just going to keep grinding it out, which could end up with a good result as well. But really, there were no opportunities as big as The Voice provided.
The Voice is
them.
a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what way, we didn't have it when I was a kid. I mean, I'm sure I would have tried, So I think that we didn't. It's a massive opportunity. It's really, what you do with it.
You're
and
really selling me on it. Like, you believe it. It's
I
just
do
cool.
believe it.
I'm
I
glad
do.
that you do. It makes me happy that you guys are filling those chairs and you believe it.
We do. We absolutely do. 100%.
And speaking of kids, like your life as a kid, you started on television.
Yes, I did.
How old were you?
I was 7. 7 on my first TV show.
And why, like, I always wonder, how do parents go, I'm going to take my daughter to this thing? Were you, like, really asking for it?
Yes.
You
were.
Okay.
Yeah. My parents had nothing to do with the industry. So.
Yeah, right. And so they're probably like, I'm not doing that, right?
I remember all different moments when my parents have sort of were like, okay, she wants to,
Really?
wants to do this, and she's writing these songs, and but I mean, it was that old story, and people have. I was really hyperactive and got in trouble straight away as I got to school, and because I was just being, had a lot of energy and had a lot of quirks, and my, teachers were like, you need to put her into
Were
stuff.
you good in school?
No, I'd say I was definitely the class clown.
Really?
Yeah.
You were the class clown. That's so crazy.
Because I think I've I know this sounds weird, but now we're getting quite deep. The voice kind of merged myself into being myself on camera even more. Like I was very like my personal life and being fun and relaxed and being a kid. And then when I'd have to talk with all the adults really young, I'd be like
Right.
talking
You'd
to the
be-
adults. And I'd you know,
sure.
because I loved music and I wanted to do the right thing by music at all times. And then I'd be like the one that was the, you know, sort of fun, crazy, you know, just having a joke. So school was my time to entertain the class.
Yeah, I know that
I don't
world.
recommend it, kids. I don't. Work
Ye-
hard.
Yes, you
know?
do.
But I left school very young too, so
But see, it doesn't interfere with motivation or being, you know, inspired. Like you
No.
had different inspiration. Getting your arithmetic together just wasn't part of it. But
Totally.
you're doing math in your own way on piano.
Absolutely.
Like that's math too, without
Yeah.
you know calling it math.
and when I went to like singing and dancing schools outside of school, I was like the quietest kid in the room. You wouldn't have heard a peep from me. It was like it was totally extreme. You know, you'd be
Right.
like all these hundreds of kids, but it's because I was really intently listening and I
Well,
was
that's
like
cool.
really wanting to learn, and I didn't have any kind of, I mean, I had a few friends, but I really didn't speak to anybody much at like singing and dancing. And I was really quiet.
And so at that age, how long were you on television? And then
Throughout my whole childhood.
your whole childhood
Yeah.
until you started making records?
Well,
Because you were on Neighbors.
yes.
And
Yeah, that
that's
came
like-
in. I forgot. Yeah.
That's like the biggest soap opera
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Still?
Yeah, I won it like in my first, like an Emmy, like a Logie when I was
Oh,
like
you won a
16.
local or like a Australian Emmy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it was the worst speech you've ever seen in your life. Like it was so embarrassing. I can't even begin to tell you.
Find it.
Wait,
No, don't find it.
Find it, Virgo.
It goes for 10 minutes. It's very boring.
We'll get it.
But I thanked everyone. Okay, didn't miss it. Didn't miss a beat.
Really?
Didn't want to forget anybody. I wrote it down.
And they didn't have the music
No,
to
they
get
don't
you
do
off.
that at our one.
Oh no. Perga, what is it when you win all the awards? What's it called?
EGOT.
An EGOT.
What's an EGOT?
An Emmy, a
Grammy.
Grammy,
Oscar. Oh, I
Oscar,
like
and a Tony.
that. I like that.
Where are you in your pursuit of the EGOT? You got your Emmy.
Well, I got my Australian Grammys.
You got your
But I
Grammy.
like, I mean, you've got American, so
Do
I'd
you-
like one of the. Maybe I could have one. Maybe you could give
Let's
me yours.
switch.
I'll give you an
I'll trade
Australian
you,
one.
no problem. I have so many. And then you need an Oscar.
I need an Oscar.
And you need.
No, I have like our entertainer one. I have one of our entertainer ones.
Oh wow! So you're just one away.
I need an Oscar. How do we do this?
Man, I'm 3 away. I'm terrible.
I mean, you know, you want
Would you
to. You can
mind-
start up a soap. I could imagine you like.
I'm going to
being,
start
like,
up a soap.
Being in a soap.
Yeah.
We can call neighbors.
I
You
would
can
be really
hang
a
out on
good.
there.
What would I be? A bad guy, probably, right? I have the
mean-
bad guy face.
I think you feel you'd like to be the bad guy, but
I'd
we know
like
you're
to be
really
the
a
bad
nice
guy.
guy.
I'm
underneath
terrible
it.
at being a bad guy, but on film, I would love to kill a lot of people. Can you kill whoever you want on soap operas?
I mean, no, soap operas weren't as big on the killings, but
Oh. No, I'm good then.
yeah.
I'm gonna keep
Okay.
with music.
A lot
I just
of-
want to
a
be in
lot
a
of-
show where I can kill a bunch of people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably not neighbors.
Speaking of, well, it has nothing to do with killing, but
Yeah.
can we play one of your songs?
Yes,
Is,
we can. I mean,
uh,
that does. We can kill it.
Is now
kill
a
it
good?
together.
Well, let's kill this bitch.
Let's kill it. So this is living in America. I start to get all my slang, you know.
Great. Yeah. No, you're good at it.
Terrible.
So this is a song called "Sitting on Top of the World." You want to talk about this album? And this was a big hit.
Yeah, this was a lovely song.
I see that John Shanks was on this. Do you work with John a lot?
I do. I love John. He's one of my. You know, we had a #1 with this, and we've had like a lot of songs together over the years.
Oh, cool.
I love him. very
And
much.
do you work? You make your records in LA then?
I do, but I always have. Like I've always kind
really?
of made stuff here and gone
Yeah.
back there. But I mean, when I was on Neighbours, I was making Innocent Eyes, the first album, and
Hmm. Yeah.
But I guess I had a chapter again. I did London for the second album, Mistaken Identity. So I've been all over the place, really.
You're a very intense world traveling high level human being. You must be hard to keep up with. Like
I don't know.
who keeps up with you?
Well, I guess by
Just-
myself right now.
That,
Pretty much.
that Baldwin piano.
Pretty much me and the piano.
That's cool though. I think you don't stop doing what you're doing because
Thanks.
let people figure out how to catch up to you instead of you slowing down for them.
Oh, that is a good lesson. That's a good lesson for me.
Cool. Well, speaking of that lesson, I have some stuff I want to teach Jerry. But until then,
Let's teach. Okay.
let's rock this
So
song.
we're just gonna make it up as we go.
Yeah.
Do you want me to play?
Of course.
Okay.
She should start.
Waiting, watching, listening to every little sign I see. You are so bright, shining above all these city lights. You know it's right, and all of the stars in the sky align. And if you and I, we are together as one tonight. So get up, stand up. What you waiting for? Let's go jumping. We gotta live like giving to begin. We gotta love like no one else. Now I'm with you. Now I'm with you. Now I'm with you. We're sitting on top, just sitting on top of the wave. Ooh, the wave. Wow.
Save me from me, gave me everything I need. You'll be forever in my heart. So get up, stand up. What you waiting for? Let's go jumping. We gotta live life, giving to being. We gotta love like no one knows. Now I'm with you. Now I'm with you. Now I'm with you. Sitting on top of the world. Oh, oh, world. Oh, oh.
All is quiet at night. We say only things for us to hear. So get up, stand up.
What you waiting for?
Let's go jumping.
We gotta live life, giving to being. We gotta love like
No one else. Now I'm with you. Now I'm with you. Oh yeah, yeah. Just sitting on top of the wave. The wave. Just sitting on top. We're sitting on top of the wave. The wave. Sitting on top, just sitting on top of the wave. Oh, well.
Man, you have a crazy good voice.
No.
I don't know. I mean, I was singing I don't usually sing that low, but I can't get that high. So I felt like John Legend. I was all sexy voice, except without the sexy voice part, which was a little
Also,
bit of
I
a
think
bummer.
when I was sang with you at Nokia, it's like the Bruises song is quite low for me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a
We're gonna work
low
this out,
song
Pat.
for
We're gonna
anyone.
find like somewhere in the middle. You know, bringing me lower, I'm bringing you high. Like it's just men, women sing different spots.
Yeah, we're weird. It's all weird. So when I was looking at all of your achievements in life, one of the things I realized is your success here in the United States compared to Australia and other parts of the world is just it's not the same. Do you think that you have figured out what that's about, or do you care?
No, I do absolutely. I believe in timing. I believe in fate, and I believe that when the right song is message is a song. A song is a message that needs to be heard. I believe when it's the right time for that next phase of my life a little more here, then I really look forward to it, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm getting to know more people here, and it's been I kind of feel like it's like a city for me. It's like I have because of my life's journey, I have like all these different building blocks, some
Right.
to the roof, some to like built here, and I've been cool with it. Like again, I'm the same wherever we are, whatever.
Well, when I see you, and I don't know you very well, but I know you a little bit. You are one of the most driven people I know. So I can only imagine that this is something that is very high on your list of achievements, along with like playing stadiums and places like that. Like, there's a lot of things on my list. I don't do very well in Australia. Like,
Yes, you do.
we can play in front of
I'm gonna, like, shut you
maybe
down right now on that.
2,000 people, but like
We
for
did
as
the
long
opera.
as
We
we've
played
tried
the
to do
opera
this,
house, man.
You really
but it's a
Big
long
deal.
ways to go to play for a few people, and so, but that's not what I'm
I
suggesting.
know that they appreciate it.
Here's what my question really is.
Yeah.
I love John Shanks. He's awesome. But what I did to keep moving, I made a record with the same guy 3 times, and on the 3rd time, I realized if I keep doing this, I'm going to get the same results. How often do you mix it up? Do you write with a lot of different people? Do you plan on working with people you've never worked with before? Because it seems to be what I find as I get older.
Decoding where I'm at.
Yes, decoding where
No, I
you're at.
appreciate it. No,
It's a very
absolutely.
tricky game because you have to not get caught up in being with the wrong people, but
Yeah.
you can't get caught up in being with who you think are the right people either. And so it's a very
Absolutely.
tricky game you have to play with yourself. Have you been in that game? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do, yeah, absolutely. I'm completely connected to what you're saying. I feel, I've definitely, I think for a couple of years there in the middle of my mid-20s, I was definitely a little bit, not complacent, but a little bit sort of just wasn't as open. Maybe that's what it is. Wasn't as open to maybe the new different, trying different things. And
Yeah.
definitely I've just got to that point again this last, again, I'd say, I know it sounds funny bringing the voice, but the voice was very life-changing for me in this respect as well, like opening my ears and eyes and everything back to all different styles of music and things. And I'm very open to new different people. I'm very loyal as a person in general as well. Like when it comes to, when you say I have loyal long-term,
You're different. You're different than big stars. Like you're a high-level person.
Thanks.
Like that's why I'm here. That's why
Pat.
I like you so well. Because you're very
Very
famous.
nice of you to say.
But you're very famous, but you're so grounded. And I
Yeah.
believe you're totally right when it comes to parents. But it's also a wiring. You're wired to be this way as a person. You
Yeah.
could have great parents. I know a lot of people with great parents. They're kind of shitty people.
Yeah.
And I know shitty parents who have great kids.
Yeah.
Like there's whatever the combination is. But when I think of like all of this stuff, do you have to be a part of all of the writing on all of your songs? Do you ever sing other people's songs?
I've sung other people's songs. It's definitely hard.
How does that feel for you? And is it worth it? Like, what do you gain at this point? You have the money that you need. You probably, I can imagine you could pretty much say fuck you to anything you want in your life at this point. What would inspire you to sing somebody else's song or go down a road that maybe felt a little bit more difficult than just doing it yourself?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You hit that at the very end as well. It's like I've kind of been someone who's very like, I'll do it myself, like a little bit, probably to my own. I'm very much like my mother, like that.
But
to
it's
my
also
own,
important.
But where I'm like, I want to be independent and do
But
it.
it's why you're where you are. Like,
Yeah. But exactly what you're saying. I mean, I'm really excited making this new record. That I am very open to finding different ways. And I really feel like, I was born to do what I do. So I would love to decode exactly. But again,
do you have people in your life that can help you with that? Do you have a great manager?
I do, but it took me a while. I got that side of my life very wrong. Which is
too.
a very big part of probably what you're talking about as well. I got that very wrong. And I picked some really bad people. When I say bad,
bad fits.
Bad fits.
Yeah.
Not
Meaning
the same
they
values.
had fits.
And so now I'm really lucky. I have a wonderful manager. I believe in her. And
where does that person live?
They're LA. They're
cool.
But I didn't have I was always just doing it with my record label and from away.
And so before you would go to the record label now, you have someone you trust before you would get to that point where you could decide with that person. Do they have any input in the songs that you're singing and writing?
Do my management?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm a team now. I've built a team, but I didn't have a great team before.
And so if one of your team members is not psyched about something that you're doing, how do you handle it?
With songs?
Sure. Because songs really, isn't that the essence of all of this?
Absolutely. It's all about a great song, and sometimes it's been probably hard for me knowing certain things that I know. And if I was a little greener to some of it here, maybe it would be actually easier for me, if that can make sense to anyone else. But
it makes no sense to anyone else.
Okay. Well, it's like sometimes you do things like when you first start out at anything, which is a little bit probably politically incorrect and probably a little bit more, because you just don't know exactly how it all works. And you're just like, well, I'm just going to put this song and do this and, but I'd say no. I've built a great team. I've got a great structure, and so this next chapter I feel is I'm coming into the best phase of my life, I believe, and again I'm totally aware of my shortcomings of what I felt like I've got wrong when it came to team. I had just really bad. And not even team. And in certain parts of my life, I've given away too much of myself to other people. And
are you talking about like love relationships?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like I'm finally now I've had this great phase of, being myself and being, just spending time with me and with music again. And I'm in a relationship with music again rather than, having to worry about what was around me. And now it's time to rock and roll. So hopefully,
my wife, she is one of 4 girls, and her mom. They have such strong personalities, and one of the things that her mom always talks about is how difficult it is for strong women.
Yes.
On this planet, because men are so threatened by strong women that it fucks everything up for like relationships and all that other stuff. Do you find that she's right about that?
Yeah, I do.
I do too.
Definitely.
I see a lot of strong women and
because we end up picking a particular type to kind of to deal with like certain areas.
It's interesting. You're right.
Yeah. But I'm not going to do that anymore.
But I mean, we all have problems. We all make our mistakes. It's just one of the things that she mentioned to me that when I see strong women, I notice. Yeah, I know. Anyway, so what I'd like to do just before I let you go is I have.
No, I love this conversation. I feel like I'm really like getting a good like.
Well, no, but you have like
this
your whole entourage is starting to enter.
No,
and they're giving you the. Do we need to get these people out of here?
No,
like
my team
I have a team of people just like them who like touch their hats a certain way, or I give them a wave and that means come and save me.
No,
I know what's going on.
They just want to go to the bathroom. They didn't want to make noise. That they're from they're in the other studio. My dear musical soulmate Vince, he's working on a wonderful project. They're working on a few projects, so I know that they're probably just going to the bathroom. That's all it is. And there's.
I was wondering what happened in there. You just used the bathroom, huh?
Hey, Tina.
I could tell something weird was going on.
There's my manager. There's the other woman, the beautiful.
Hi.
Thank gosh, I was speaking highly of my management.
She speaks very highly of you. Creeping around the back. It's a great name for your next record. How deep into the new record are you? How far along are you?
You know what? I mean, you start off guns blazing and then you go down a path again, and then I feel like I've stopped for 1 second again after shooting Voice Kitties, and I'm playing. I'm just playing by myself again for a second, and I don't know. I'm very open to just sort of working on practicing my strokes, as you say, just sort of playing for a second.
Who are you listening? Do you listen to music
Always,
while you write?
all day.
Does it interfere though?
No.
Who are you
inspires.
listening to that makes you go like, I'd like to go down that road a little bit?
I've really loved discovering London Grammar lately. I really
Cool.
think they're a great.
Yeah, Pergo's a big London
great
Grammar
album,
fan.
right? I loved the Emily Sandé record. I mean, it's very kind
Who?
of Emily Sandé.
Oh yeah, right.
Loved that record. I mean, it's piano-driven, big singers. You know,
Yeah.
I loved it. But no, I think I'm. You know, I do what I do. I have a specific vibe. But if you come up with any ideas of other collaborators, let me know. So, I feel in a great place. I think I feel honestly like I've written the best stuff I've written recently, like the best stuff I've ever written.
Oh, great.
And that's all I can kind of do, I guess.
Just do your best. That's what
Do
my
my
father
best.
would say.
Do it up.
My father had 7 kids, and he was like, "Just do your best." And
That's a lot of kids.
if anybody ever thinks that they know how to parent, you tell them they're full of shit. Because if they had one more, that kid probably would go to jail. And you never know. And so I always like to finish by asking a few of my wife's questions.
Sweet, awesome.
Let me see if I can find them. Here, I might have to look on my phone.
Okay,
The first question is always the best. It's when are you gonna pick up all the shit laying around the house? When are you gonna do that, Delta?
Well, as you can see, I'm pretty tidy in general.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't for you. That was just
That's
my
for
own.
you, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so here they are. Tour find. What's a great thing that you've found by traveling the world that you wouldn't have discovered without traveling the world, obviously? And then when you go to that place, you have to go, like maybe a record store somewhere. What's like one of your treasures? Something in Italy, perhaps? Please,
Italy.
Please say Italy.
Italy? Okay, well, I've been to Alta Badia and the snowfields in Italy.
Oh, that's awesome.
I like skiing. And they have those Bombadero drinks. They're really yum.
Yeah.
I mean, everything revolves around food, probably.
Great.
Drinks
I love
and
it.
Food. I'd probably say.
Do you find that the Indian food in London is extraordinarily good?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Thai food in Australia. If you did
Oh,
Thai
right.
food in
Yeah.
Australia, it's much like having Spanish,
Right.
Mexican food here.
Right, like Mexican food here. It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So that was it.
Right,
That
that's
was
it.
the
I have
bomb beer
nothing for
drink.
you.
Okay, got it. What are you currently a fan of? Is there a television show that you're addicted to, or record, or a person, or a restaurant?
Absolutely. Yeah. No. I am addicted to Once Upon a Time. Have you seen that TV show?
It's a fairy tale.
Very magical. It's
Oh, that's
fairy
cool.
tales, and
Oh, that's fun.
they're like all the characters come to life. I like fantasy, so
Yeah. Do you have a favorite movie? Something
Yeah.
what is it?
I mean, I Little Miss Sunshine was probably one of my favorites.
Great movie,
It's
right?
like just
you know
so
the
funny.
kid in that, the brother. He was in a movie called There Will Be Blood. Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
This kid
I know of it, obviously. But
is one of the
he's
greats
amazing.
of all time.
The one that doesn't speak for most of the.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a gifted
Yeah.
guy.
He's great
his
in that
name?
too.
Paul Dano or Dana? What's his name?
Yeah. Paul Dano, maybe?
Something like
Yeah,
that.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
He is like Daniel Day-Lewis is the greatest ever.
Yeah.
He's probably number 2.
Yeah, yeah.
This kid he's going to be the guy.
I'd say Romeo and Juliet and a couple of shows like that, like Baz Luhrmann films. They're always the best.
Right.
He's Australian.
Will you do
Grease.
more acting?
Yeah, absolutely. I've missed it a bit recently, actually.
Yeah?
So I'd like to go
Can you
back
do an
into it.
American accent?
Oh, I try really hard, but I you know what I say to people? I'm like, well, you know, if you really, I have a really good ear for languages in general, but if I have to work on it, like I will work on it really hard, but I'd prefer to be an Australian.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
he wants to hear it. Let's hear a sentence. And
Like
It's really hard to do.
it's
huh?
really hard to do.
That's pretty good though.
Thank you so much.
oh,
I really have loved being on the Patcast days. It's Patcast.
I really love being on the
Do you want a coffee with
podcast.
that? It's like New York. Do you want a coffee with that? Is
Yeah.
that New York? Like, talk to me.
Twuck.
Talk.
Yeah, you sound Long Islandy. Well, thanks
I'll
for
go
doing
with that.
that.
That's fine. I've got to be from somewhere.
Why at this point? I mean, you're still such a young woman. Asking you.
30 this year.
Oh well, then I skipped that shit. Pack it up. Why do you do this? What is the inspiration behind all of this?
To I think what life is all about, to connect, to touch lives, to connection of
All comes back to Jerry's questions.
Yeah, and I thought about it. It's not going to work out between us.
Oh, what did I say, Jerry?
That she was like, it's all about touching people,
No.
and Jerry's like, yeah, it's not going to work out.
I feel like it's all about music. It's all about transporting.
It is
moments.
when you're
It's all about
singing a
music.
song and people are singing it back to you.
It's the coolest thing on the planet.
It's crazy,
but
right?
I feel like it's also for me. I do it because I'm motivated by the love of music. Like I love music.
Yeah, that's
I'm
cool.
a music fan of all music. I love discovering songs. I play it all day. It's what gets me through.
Yeah.
And people don't understand until they also go through. Well, they do. People do understand. It's that it's not cliche. You really do. You need music, and it paints your whole life.
You need music.
You need it.
You really do. I did a podcast with a great writer named Egg White in
Yeah,
London.
I love Egg White. He's great.
And he said it. He was like, the human brain needs these tones.
Yeah.
Like you need them
settles,
like you
all of
need
it.
other,
Dances, it celebrates, it mourns with you, it everything. Like it's
Do you
magical.
I know you have a great connection with your fans, but do
Yeah.
you have haters? Do you have,
Oh,
do you
yeah.
have a
Oh, my
lot
God.
of critics?
hell yeah.
And how do you respond to them? Do you
I don't.
do you lash
I don't
back
respond.
out?
No, I've never.
No, you don't give them the time of day.
It's powerless. No reaction.
Is there anything you'd like to say to them right now?
Yo,
Because you can
haters.
use this as a platform.
Haters gonna hate.
Haters
Haters
be
gonna
actually
hate.
haters be hating.
Haters be hating. No, I
Yeah.
like it's all. You know what? I definitely don't. I don't buy into either side, love or hate.
Right. You don't
important.
believe the whole fantasy of all of this shit, right? No, me neither. It's like
Because it's not what I'm driven by. It's like if you're driven by other things,
it's
then that's
why
different.
you'll be able to
Driven
do
by
this,
this.
for as long as you want.
It's not my motivation is music.
Great. Well, that's
So-
great. And you know what? As
And
a
if you're
fan,
not, then it affects you. If you're not, then you're going to be someone who's like affected by
Right.
because you don't have something that performing is my favorite thing in the whole world. And giving to people and seeing people have their songs as their own. But if you what was I about to say? I'm lost in my head. What was I about to say?
well, your love
Okay.
for this and music and being motivated by this, but not giving haters a chance to get to you. And then you were going to say something about how good I looked in these jeans. Pretty,
You do look good.
Great, but I don't know. I think it's.
But I think as your fan, I'm a fan of yours, and I think if your fans are gonna hear you say that, I'm motivated by music, not by what people like. That's what you want to hear as a fan.
Yeah.
You don't want the people you admire to be affected by petty bullshit.
No.
Then it makes
It's
them
not that it
petty.
doesn't I've gone through phases where I really got hurt just because it's been quite in different phases, as we all go through different phases of our careers and but what keeps me holding on is that I was is their love, but also life and again it's like creating gets me through those moments where I go it's
Right.
okay, patience, concentrated strength, get past it and then move on.
My manager's really good at helping me through times of people pissing me
Times
off.
of
And
trouble.
he's like, man, be grateful for the haters. That means you're big, dude.
Yeah, totally. The
I'm
more
like,
hate, the
yeah,
more
that's awesome.
what's going on.
Thank you. Thank you, haters.
Yeah, I'm thankful for it all.
So just to finish up the last few things,
Besides, I'm a bit hardcore, and I'm like, yeah, bring
you're
it
pretty
on, let's do
hardcore.
it. Yeah.
I've always said that about you. What's next other than your record? You have The Voice Kids coming up in
Yep.
Australia.
Yep.
Did you already shoot the whole?
We're up to the finale, so we're.
So you have to go back soon.
In June. It's only for a week. I'm really here this
Oh,
year.
great.
I'm in
good.
the US this year, and
good.
and focused and just making music for a while, and then.
Well, I'd love to have you
release
into the
album.
studio for a second. You can hear some songs, and then if you like any of them, we can write a song or something.
I would love that.
And But if you don't like them, you can just be like, wow, that's awesome. I'll talk to you guys later. That's going to be a really good record.
Is it you saying that's what I have to do? Will you go all like crazy if I don't do that? I was like, no, that's not my...
I think it'd just be really fun. Like, I think here's what I think the music business is missing is I read these memoirs of old rock stars, and like people are working in the same studio and they're coming into each other's sessions and they're hanging out and partying and playing on shit, and we just like that's missing from the world of, definitely not missing from hip hop. Like that culture is so got it together, and that's why they run the music business right now. But like we really have failed like the past pop and rock artists of the world by just letting that kind of slip through. So it would be fun to have you in.
It's time to take over again.
Yeah. I mean, just be fun to like... Are you
kidding me? Like, I don't think you really understand like what your songs were for me for a long time. Like, you know,
thanks.
so I don't think you know, it's like, and that's why we when we first met, it was like, it's like your talent is remarkable, and the songs, you know, have been a big part of people's lives. So
that's really sweet.
It would be an honor to write.
Well, I find that to be the same with you. I find you to be really an incredible talent. So, other than what's next, how do people find you on all of the social networks right now, and they can find out where you're going to perform next? Will you be performing in the United States anytime soon?
Once I finish a bit more of this record, I've got to have some songs to play. You know, I'm ready for the new album. But this last one, Child of the Universe, was really close to my heart. But no, I'm not. I've got to finish the music first before I start.
Right.
I'm not sure, you know.
Does it get easier or harder for you to write songs?
No, I think I'm in the best phase of writing I've been.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so it's
I feel
getting
like
better
I did a
and
full
easier.
circle. I feel like when I first started it, because I did a lot of the album by myself, you know, with the first album that did those things, and then you get this pressure cooker that goes from like you've just done it by yourself with no one looking, and then you put it out, and these things happen. Then you go on this path where second album it's intense and more is put at it and more. Then third album it's even more kind of like through this, and then you sort of do this. I feel like I did a full loop, and I feel like I'm back at this place that's where I did when I started. I really feel like I've done a full circle back to the beginning, but you know, hopefully a little bit better. You know,
It's so difficult for me right now, writing songs that matter to me that potentially will matter to somebody else. I hope you never have to do what I'm doing right now.
Why?
Because I have started to do wine and some other substances that I don't want to talk about right now, just to motivate me and make me feel better about my failure as a current writer.
This is unbelievable. You realize how astronomically stupid that sounds, right?
Did you say
No,
stupid?
I was stupid.
Is that an Australian word? This is astronomically stupid.
Do you realize that to people who maybe don't like have other talents and don't write songs, how silly that sounds coming from yourself?
Well, anyway, if you ever want to drink some wine with me, I
drink
would love
plenty of
to
wine.
do that.
See, that's maybe because I drink wine, and I think it's really, when I'm my happiest and with my friends and having dinners is when I write more. Like when I'm
that's when you write better.
I do if I have a weekend away with my friends and get back into it. I cannot do like every day. It's not my vibe. I need to like, the more fun I'm having, the more you'll get out of me. Like,
amen.
Otherwise, I'm like,
I'm having no fun, and you're not getting anything out of me.
Get out.
It's like plowing a dry field of corn. You know
That's
what I mean?
how you feel right now?
No, I'm being facetious, but this has been really, literally the most difficult record I've ever been a part of writing. Yeah, but it's probably because I want so
what number is
much. Like I want this big thing. I want the ring.
So you're playing with new sounds and
I want the Super Bowl
sonics.
ring.
Okay.
So anyway, we'll see.
But you have a Grammy. That's a Super Bowl ring.
It's not once you have it. Then you're like, well, I want the next Super Bowl ring.
Don't be so greedy.
Yeah, it doesn't fit on your hand. So really, where do people find out more about you?
Sorry, yeah. Well, I've got my Twitter. It's Delta Goodrem. I've got my Instagram. It's Delta Goodrem.
Great.
I have my Facebook. It's Delta Goodrem.
But I mean, it's great that you were able to get all those handles because a lot of people don't. Yeah. Like Puff Daddy, for instance. He's trying to get Puff Daddy and he can't get it.
Puff Daddy can't get Puff Daddy?
He,
I think that's fake.
Well, it's probably
Of
because he has
course it's
P. Diddy and
of course.
you know, there's been a lot of name changes, so I can understand how that gets a bit
Well,
grey.
he wants all of those handles, and he's not able to get them from the people who have them.
Right.
And so you were able to get yours. And
I
congratulations.
was. Thank you to the digital team at my management.
Thank you so much for playing music for us and letting us be a part of your day in your beautiful house. I admire you. I admire your accomplishments. Your voice is ridiculous.
Lots more to do.
Being around you is difficult because you're so pretty and talented, and I don't know how to move on from here. But thanks so much for doing the Patcast, Delta Goodrem.
Thanks for having
you're
me.
a lovely soul.
I'm very, very thankful. Patcast time. Woo.
Anything you want to say to your fans before you leave?
Oh, I love them. Thank you.
Anything you want to say to your haters?
I love them. Thank you. Gotta send love.
That's a good one.
Well, that was Delta Goodrem on the Patcast. You can find her online and on any social media just by typing in her name. And that's DeltaGoodrem. Delta Goodrem. And we are at Patcast Podcast, or you can go to patcast.com, and we're on iTunes, SoundCloud, we're on MegaCloud, we're on Patcast Get It Cloud, we're on Seabreeze, which is a drink sometimes, and it's also a music site that we're going to create someday. We're on Pergo.net, and Jerry Becker loves DeltaGoodrem.com. Okay, see you next week.